YouTube Live potentially, if it works.
Yeah. It wasn't so desirable last time.
If
All
you're
right.
tuning in on Facebook, hey, welcome. Thanks for being here. We are going to get started momentarily. Matt's just setting some stuff up. And are you going to share this on some pages?
Yeah.
Matthew?
Do a little bit of sharing.
Matthew Campagna?
I want to double check that everything sounds good and looks good and all that stuff. So this is like the soft start to the
Soft
episode.
start.
Oh, which I need my wine, and my wine is hanging out on the other side of the Facebook camera.
Yeah.
Better? Much better? All right.
Tiger Waititi.
Tiger Waititi.
We're obsessed with the way this one person we know says Taika Waititi's name.
They say it Tiger White.
Tiger Waititi.
Tiger Waititi.
So
Are
fun.
they Kiwi? Or are they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just the best.
That's good. That's why it's so
Tiger
excellent.
Waititi. I'm sorry to anybody from New Zealand who's watching
Who's
this
like,
and is
"That's
like,
a
that's
butchering of my
awful and never do it again. Tiger. You just hear saying Tiger Waititi.
That's it.
Never do it again.
All right, great. So I will share this one.
I feel like this is a weird. I'm just like, hey, this angle freaks me out a bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Because you don't usually see yourself from that angle.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
Now,
Apologize.
last time on YouTube, we ran this for like 4 or 5 minutes. Everything looked good. We sat down and started the episode, and the live feed cut out while we were here.
Oh no.
There's nobody on the other side of this iPad, so if it stops working, we don't know until the end of it.
So if you're,
So yeah, if this happens again on YouTube, we're just testing it out again. If it happens again on YouTube, we're sorry, and you will see a new version of it that gets posted in by probably 10:30 at the latest tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole point was to do it live, and then we wouldn't have to wait. So hopefully
Yeah.
we can have it work this time, and you're a
Right.
part of our full conversation.
yeah. Thanks for joining us if you're watching
Yes.
us on YouTube.
All right. Episode
And get ready with comments or questions.
Yeah. Or
about-
condolences.
Or condolences, or grievances, because I sound like it's going to be a little bit of the airing of the grievances,
I know.
think. Because I think there's it's a controversial episode, like maybe one of the most, if not the most controversial episode.
Well,
yeah, we were like ready to choke each other out talking
Yeah,
about it
yeah.
yesterday.
And,
So.
and also one of the most highly anticipated, and that's why. I think it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everyone. There was no way this episode could possibly please everyone.
No, there's just so much hype.
Yeah.
And like so many
Do
expectations.
mind your feet there, because
Oh,
you've
'cause
got
I've got the
of
cord.
this, so
Ah.
that might make some sound.
Right. A Court of Thrones.
Mhm.
A Court of Song and Fire. What? Oh no, I can hear myself afterward. Matt, you're moving slow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also don't want to go too fast because I want YouTube to have a chance to screw up.
Okay.
If YouTube screws up,
It's good.
no, if YouTube screws up, I want to catch it
Yeah.
before our episode hard starts.
Okay.
So that's what this is about.
All right.
Before a car starts.
Before a car starts.
So we just been like this is just soft banter.
Yeah.
Soft banter, yeah. Just
Yeah, this is
gentle,
where everyone-
gentle banter.
Soft.
This is where everyone realizes they really like us
This
and
is-
want to keep watching.
This is like episode 1 and 2 of this season, where like everybody loves each other, everybody like makes love to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody's
like-
like,
Preparation.
Yeah.
Hopeful. Any kind of hope at
Oh,
all.
Any kind of hope.
Aaron Thompson says, my condolences about Gerard.
no, I can't even face it. I
Yeah.
can't even face it. Thank you, Aaron. We're gonna get to it.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to my
Yeah.
Jay. To my Mormonts. Ugh. Here,
Yeah, more months.
Here we stand.
Hard out there
Pour
for
one
a
out,
moment.
more months.
Pour,
yeah.
pour one out. That's right.
All right, so that is now happening there, which is good. I'm just going to share this onto your wall as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. I feel like, also I want to say this about spoilers. So we'll repeat this when we do our official start, but obviously there's going to be a ton of spoilers right now. So if you have not seen this episode yet, leave.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't think this is the way you want to experience
Oh.
these story beats.
Oh no, not at all. But I would say I think it was. I saw some people being like, "Don't spoil it," and I was like, "You can't do that with television events.
Yeah.
It's like
Movies,
it's like
yeah.
a sporting event."
Movies, it's one thing.
Yeah.
Because not everyone on Earth can be in the theater at that time.
Right.
Because there's only like 300 seats.
Yeah.
But when it's a TV show, if you didn't subscribe and didn't make the time to do this, and by now you're already have,
Okay.
And by now, like, your shift is over, guys. You finished
Right.
work,
And now your shift
and now
is
your shift is
over.
ended. So come on.
One of my friends was saying, they watched Game of Thrones with their spouse, and they were right now they're separated, and they're gonna wait until they get back together. But they're having a problem with all the soft.
The memes and things.
It's because so they're not spoilers, but they're soft spoilers. Like
Yeah.
it's like if you're yelling Arya and Dale was saying that today.
Yeah.
She was like, it's like, well, I know that Arya did something. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you can't avoid it with Endgame, let's say with Avengers, it's like that's different. It's like opening weekend, maybe not everyone has gone out to see
Right,
it. But
right.
like if it's a thing where like it's the television event of
Yeah.
the century, like in
Yeah.
a way, I mean maybe not that extreme, but like it's huge. So like I think you have to expect in our meme culture and in our Twitter culture
Yeah.
that like maybe you just need to take yourself off social media for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tim was sad to see how the Dothraki were wasted.
Oh yes, okay.
Now,
We're gonna get to
wasted
it.
is
We're
in
gonna
how they
get-
got
We're
murdered,
gonna
or
get
how
to
they
it.
were like tossed, because they were two kinds of wasted in that episode.
Okay, we're gonna
All right,
get to
so
it.
before we dig too deep into this, it looks like YouTube is working.
Okay.
So if this breaks partway through, my condolences. We'll
Thinking
catch
of
up
it
with
as
you.
an extended moment of silence.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
For all
right.
of them,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's right. Okay,
Ready?
and
Welcome.
Cheers. Oh, are we saying welcome?
It's always welcome. Yeah.
Why do I say cheers?
Because you're nice and polite.
We're gonna do it again. Ready?
Okay.
And
Welcome.
All right. This is a big episode of a big show.
Yeah,
We're
so-
going to be talking about.
So
today.
this is our this is Couch of Thrones. Welcome. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. So we are three teams or three
of the six teams.
of the 6 teams in a fantasizer fantasy league, and these are our drafted characters. So this show is us talking about the latest episode of Game of Thrones, which was last night's episode, which is
The long
The
The
Long
Long
Night.
Night. Yeah, The Long Night. And so we do it sort of, we talk about the episode, but we also talk about our standings in the league and who got points and why, and we argue about that.
And who lost their first round draft pick first out of everybody. So we'll be discussing things like that today.
Oof.
So it's a show that we do on Facebook, on YouTube. Sometimes it's on Twitter. Like, we sort of bounce it all over the place, and it's a chance for us to talk with people live about it as well, because there's 6 teams. So there are 3 other people out in the internet
Yeah.
that might chime in as we go along.
There's
through
actually
this.
4, because
Well,
one
yeah,
of our
3 other
teams
teams.
is a team. Aaron and Dave are a
Yeah.
team.
So there may be other people who are chiming in on here. I'm going to try to keep track of every comment as they come in. If I miss it, say it again, and maybe I'll notice it. Dale says, "You mentioned me." #Arya Stark.
Hi, Dale.
Yes.
Hi, Dale.
Hi, Dale. Hi, Dale. We'll always mention
and
it,
Aaron
Dale.
Thompson's watching on YouTube to let us know if it cuts out. So that's
Oh.
awesome, Aaron. Really
Aaron
appreciate that.
Thompson, what a star.
So cool. cool.
Okay, so this was the most anticipated episode of Game of Thrones in the history of Game of Thrones.
I would say so,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And there have been some highly anticipated episodes, so that says saying a lot. It was, everyone knew going in, it was shot over 5 weeks of night shoots. It's like the most expensive hour and whatever of television.
And it was going to be like feature length.
Yeah.
And so this was anticipated to be a feature length fight. Just
Yeah.
bonkers long. Like
Yeah.
Hardhome was long because it was in one location and they never cut away to different spots in the world. And this is a show where they do that all the time.
Yeah.
But
So it's
Hardhome was
weird.
the whole episode, right?
No, but that
Yeah.
was like the one time that they landed in one setting
Yeah.
and never left it, which was
Yeah,
quite
that's pretty-
fascinating.
yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was strange. It sort of set a precedent. And
Yeah.
here we are doing it again, but this time not only is it only one spot, it's only one fight.
Yeah.
It was bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like, so interestingly enough, listening to them talk about how they conceived the episode from a script point of view, from a design point of view, directing, the DOP, they talk a lot about how, because they didn't want it to become monotonous,
Right.
that they really tried to divide it. I feel like they sort of divided it into 3, where there's like the suspense part of it, where you don't see the monster, and then there's the horror film of it, where, you know, Arya's being stalked by
Her ancestors.
her ancestors, yeah. And then there's the action part of it, where everybody's just like being relentlessly fought. And I thought, like, I would say for the most part, I think they really managed to maintain attention there.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do with that many characters, that many like it was a lot. I
Yeah.
think it's a massive achievement.
Oh, it's a huge feat to
Yeah.
accomplish.
Absolutely, yeah. I think some characters got short shrift a little bit because
Yeah,
it was
okay.
a lot of, oh, there's Tormund, oh, there's Brienne, and you only got glimpses of them.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Arya's journey you really got to feel,
And for one of the longest episodes in Game of Thrones history, I feel like it probably had one of the shortest scripts because there's no
Yeah.
dialogue.
Oh yeah,
in
they
this.
Oh, yeah.
barely speak.
Yeah.
Which, and I thought very sort of interestingly enough, nobody gets last words.
Mhm.
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, and it almost felt like they were about to get last words
Yeah.
while they were dying, and then they didn't, and it was like heart wrenching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oof.
that was epic.
That was hard.
Let's talk. So I think maybe in this instance with this episode, it might be good to start from the beginning of the episode and
Sure,
talk through,
yeah.
and then maybe touch on our standings as we go.
And Kirsty Cole agrees that it was a powerful episode and made more powerful because there was almost no dialogue.
I agree.
think so, yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100% agree. So I think the return of Melisandre
Mm-hmm.
for me, and I kept wondering when would this character return because she did say she would come back to Westeros. That's where she dies. I quite loved how they reintroduced this character.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys felt.
I thought she couldn't have picked a more dangerous direction to be coming from. Like, who is this? We should kill it. Was the
Yeah.
first thing I thought, and then I was like, oh, okay, not necessarily the first dead person. Okay,
I recognized her silhouette immediately. Perhaps that is the fellow witch in me.
maybe.
Was
Perhaps,
like, yes,
yeah.
one of my own coming to do her magic.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, like how powerful she had become. I mean, assuming she wasn't that powerful to begin with, but she came in, endowed the Dothraki with the flaming swords, and then helped the super bunker or whatever
The trench?
the
Yeah,
super trench,
yeah.
flame the super trench, yeah.
I mean, for a witch who's got consistently incorrect visions, like so wrong so often, I feel like she really leaned into what could have also been very wrong.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
thankfully not.
Yeah.
That's a great like return for an episode and like do all the things in one episode and
Yeah.
then die.
Yeah.
Like pretty amazing.
Interesting. Wendy Fox, who is in our team right here
Wendy.
at the bottom. She got last pick, and it didn't hurt. She's doing well. She says, I thought Melisandre was going to die with Varys. Didn't she imply that when she
Yeah.
told Varys that she would die in Westeros?
No, see, okay, Wendy, I want to talk about this because I feel like that what she says to him could be interpreted a couple of ways. I too at first was like they are linked, but really all she says, like I think she just implies that she will be with Varys when she
Yeah.
dies.
She says it is my destiny to die in this place as it is yours.
Yeah.
Basically, like yeah, we're both gonna die here.
Yeah.
It's a big continent.
Yeah.
And a long timeline.
Still, it would have been cool for them to see each other and Varys being like, oh
yeah.
right,
Shit.
Maybe
Yeah.
the crypts aren't so safe.
yeah.
I gotta say, like in regards to Varys, that is one character that I feel has gotten a real short shrift
This season.
this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he is one of the more nuanced characters. He is a character who helps facilitate things, and because this last season I feel like they just have to accomplish things quickly.
Yeah.
There's no room for debate or philosophy or politics.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
realm is sort of
Yeah.
not. But this is why I'm kind of hopeful that in the last 3 episodes, because I think there will be a lot more of that politicking and
Right.
that that realm realness, if
Well,
you will.
and he's more of
giving
a-
us realm realness,
Yes.
is what I will say.
And he's more of a scalpel character, and
Yeah.
this season has been Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Like
For sure.
just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sledgehammer the whole way.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
not really gotten anything to do.
Him and Tyrion and Davos,
Yeah.
they're all like, no country for clever men. They're just-
Yes, no
Nah.
computer clever man.
Yeah, they don't have these. But now I guess like the next episode, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Fingers
hopefully,
crossed.
now that
Yeah.
they've dispensed with the largest story in the land, they've
Yeah.
Yeah.
got time to handle everything else.
So, I think going into this episode, there was so much speculation. Like, there were people who thought everyone would die, like this guy over here.
Yeah.
There,
Well, and you may not be able to see, but there are a lot of little red X's under here
Oh my God.
of
We did a
characters that we
death
were
pool last week.
expecting would probably die.
Yeah.
And I must say, everyone who did die we had earmarked to die.
Yeah.
But a lot of people we thought were going to die are still safe.
Or maybe die. We had a lot of maybes, like we were on the fence about it, and they're all safe. And I think, like, I don't know, Trevor, what was your feeling going into it of how many people you thought would die? Did you think it would be a bloodbath, or did you think?
I thought it was going to be a bloodbath. I was surprised, specifically at the beginning of the battle, that there weren't more instant deaths. There weren't more.
Well, I mean, unless you count the genocide of the Dothraki.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
Which
Yeah.
Tim Hinchcliffe says, is that like, they're gone? That's it?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. No,
No
more
more
Dothraki.
Dothraki.
Yeah,
Oh,
just swallowed.
snap.
Yeah.
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 I kind of expected there to be like at least one just, oh, they're gone. Oh,
Yeah.
Brienne's gone. Like, and it's just like that, right?
Yeah,
Because it was
yeah,
such
yeah.
a wave.
Yeah.
And certainly the way it was directed, it seemed like that happened a few times. I
Yeah.
felt like there was a moment early on when the wave first hit. I was like, oh, Jaime and Brienne just died. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was totally ready to move on to the next bit.
Yeah.
Because you might note there's a little maybe and a pretty good little
Yeah,
X under Brienne.
I thought Brienne would die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Oh,
I'm glad
and
she
Kirsty
didn't.
has an interesting question.
Yeah.
How exactly did Melisandre die? Did the Lord of Light take her life force because she completed a mission, or did she take off the Necklace of Immortality? I'm not sure why she dropped dead. I think maybe like a 600-year-old woman died of exposure.
It's
Like, was
the
that
my understanding is that it's the necklace. So the necklace is what keeps her connected to the living world, but she's like
Yeah.
ancient, and so by taking that off,
And discarding it?
feeling like she has served her purpose, she discards that necklace and walks into the night and dies. Yeah.
Maybe is her proximity to the necklace. Like, because I think seasons before, she took it off, put it on the nightstand, and just went to bed.
Yeah.
But stayed kind of
Like
old.
taking
Yeah.
out taking out her dentures.
Yeah, sure.
If you get too far away from your dentures,
your mouth just
you
falls.
just
Well,
fall.
I would imagine amazing. I would imagine that it's a combo. I would imagine that it's the magic comes off, and then
Yeah.
you walk into the cold dead night, and your body like
Yeah.
moves out on you.
Aaron, who is part of that top team there, says, you were totally ready for Jaime and Brienne to die? Yeah.
I mean,
and I've
by-
got Brienne on my team.
by-
And my team is named after Jaime.
I know,
But I was totally ready.
But by ready, I mean like, I had made peace with the fact that they likely would. I
Yeah.
don't want them to die. I quite love those characters, but I was prepared
Yeah.
for them to.
There were genuinely only a handful of characters that I thought they are totally safe, and everyone else I thought this could have I thought like Tormund obviously in the Hound,
Yeah.
all of these characters, Brienne, any of the minor characters, and even John to a certain degree. I thought maybe like I could see him sacrificing himself or to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, because I think I don't like John and Danny. I'm kind of so bored of it. I'm
Yeah.
so done with it. It's the least interesting part of the show
Yeah.
for me is John and Daenerys. So I was like, there's no way they're gonna kill them because they're gonna
They're so
play
boring.
out this thing,
Right.
and I'm like gonna have to sit through it.
Right.
Anyway, continue.
This is an interesting question. Aaron was wondering if someone else will pick up that necklace. And if they do, does it do anything?
I think you have to be
A red priestess
a
of
red
some kind?
priestess. You have to actually. There's more to it than just the necklace. I think. I wonder though if you picked it up and you
It's
like.
a gateway jewelry.
It's a gay, exactly. Listen, I would love
Right?
it.
You'd pick that up.
Yeah.
Weird magic necklace. I did like. I loved as much as I was very sad that the Dothraki are done for. The way they shot that scene
Yeah.
was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. The suspense of watching each of those lights slowly get snuffed out,
yeah,
that was gorgeous.
gorgeous,
Yeah.
gorgeous. Yeah, great
And then
storytelling.
them like coming, like the horses gradually coming back, some of the Dothraki coming back,
And then Jorah somehow being alive.
coming back, and coming back and being alive, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, has he turned? Is he still
Yeah.
Jorah?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
And because we were watching it on like Bell television, which is terrible, we couldn't quite
my God.
tell like the detail of the eyes.
This
Like
guy
this
over
is
here.
shot at 96 frames a second with like in 4K, and we're watching this smudgy Bell TV HBO
Okay,
thing, and we're
okay.
like,
Fog
are
of
his
war.
eyes blue?
Fog
Are his
of
eyes
war.
blue? Yeah.
Fog of war.
I blame the fog of war.
We
Yeah.
kept saying that. We watched it together, and we kept saying fog of war every time we had some question. It's just fog of war.
Now,
Fog of war.
I think this is a good time to bring up the fact that in real life, outside of the show, there have been a lot of complaints and a lot of grievances around the darkness of the episode. People saying that It's
hard to see.
It's hard to see. That it was hard to make out what was happening. This has been a complaint for this show
In
over
the past,
years,
yeah.
and there's a lot of different theories as to why that it's a technical thing. Anyway, it's a thing because when you go see other, like for instance, if you watch a Marvel movie, they're actually even if they're in dark settings, there's a lot of light, and I think it's because they know you might be watching it on your tablet.
Right.
And if you watch it in
And-
3D, you've got half the light going in this eye and half
Yeah.
the light going in that
Yeah.
eye, so it's going to be dark.
And I feel like even something like Lord of the Rings, which, Sapochnik, who directed this episode, watched a lot of the Battle of Helm's Deep in preparation, and there's a lot of obvious
Yeah.
parallels
Yeah.
and nods and sort of homages to it, I think.
And Kirsty agrees it was super dark.
was
She
really
could
dark.
hardly see the details.
Yeah, and I think even something like Helm's Deep or, dark scenes in Lord of the Rings, and there's all that stuff in Mordor, like there's a lot of darkness, the Mines of Moria.
But there's still
some of my
dynamic
favorite
range.
parts.
Yeah.
There's
But
dynamic
yes.
range, so the bright parts and the dark parts are far apart.
Yeah.
Whereas the dark parts and the darker parts in this
Right.
episode were like, especially when you're like flying through mist and following crows and ravens, and you're like, it's just beige, and now it's dark blue,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now it's dark beige blue, and you're like, I
Yeah.
can't see anything.
Yeah.
And some of it was well used to
Mm-hmm.
increase the tension, to be like, where are we?
Yeah.
What's going on? Is, which dragon is Apicider?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I thought, but some of it was just like, after a while, you're like, I just want to know who's there.
Yeah, just tell me the story, right?
Well, and especially because people were coming up against so many
Mm-hmm.
whites, and it looked like people might be perishing and dying.
Yeah.
But I think what I started to feel halfway through the episode was like, oh, I see. We're gonna very obviously know when people die.
Yeah.
There is no questioning it.
Yeah.
If you look at the first couple of losses there, if you look at Beric, Dondarrion.
Do we need to start taking some people off this board if we're talking about?
Maybe.
Okay.
Oh, wait, should we though?
Let's wait. We'll take him off
Yeah.
again.
Because so
Maybe?
far only little Ned Umber is
Umber,
missing.
yeah.
This little
Yeah,
X is where
yeah.
he was.
I think that like when Beric died, even Beric though, I will say this about that death. I could not believe he kept getting up and continuing to run because it kept looking like he was finally like they had stabbed him enough times.
I
when
think,
you're like-
I
Yeah.
think if you're dying for the first time, it's pretty traumatic. But when you've done this like 5 or 6 times, you're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it hurts.
He's
I
a
get
pro.
it.
He's
yeah.
a pro.
He's
Yeah.
good at dying.
He's good at dying.
Yeah.
Beric's
So
good
it,
at dying.
it lasts a while.
Yeah.
I quite loved Beric the Hound and Arya. Then I loved
Yeah.
Melisandre the Hound and Arya. Like there
Yeah.
were interesting groupings.
That we had seen before.
Yeah.
And it was great to see them happen again.
Yeah. And I thought it was quite touching to see Arya's reaction to Beric, given that Beric at one point was on her list.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Did you guys get the blue eyes reference right away when she said,
When Melisandre said it,
yeah?
yes.
You did?
When she
Because
said it in this episode, yeah.
I thought she
Oh.
meant her. I thought when she said blue eyes, I thought, oh,
You're gonna
that's
kill
how
me.
you're gonna die. Arya's gonna kill you
Oh.
Interesting.
at first, and then she took off, and we were like, wait, where the hell is she going? And it was like, oh yeah.
Well, the bit for me that made it all make sense was, what do we say to death? Not today.
Right.
And the idea that Bran said no one can kill the Night King.
Right.
And Arya is no one. And
Right.
so, like, it's a very Macduff, not a woman-born moment
Right.
where
Yeah,
you can
That's
make
true.
that happen.
Yeah, that is. I didn't catch that part. That's very astute. I did think that the blue eyes meant.
The Night King.
Yeah, meant White Walker. Like I got the reference of the
Right.
ice zombie reference anyway.
Yeah, I think because in that moment, petty grievances with each other over things that you were worried about before didn't matter at all. Like all of the who gets the throne, none of that mattered in that moment. It was an existential fight against the god of death and the death he brings to the door. So I immediately thought about the villains of the episode as opposed to the fact that she had blue eyes.
I mean, I also really thought in that moment, like, wait a tick. Is Arya Azor Ahai? Like, I had a whole moment of like, hang on. What is the significance of Melisandre seeing her all those seasons ago? I see a darkness in you. You're gonna do that, like, because I always assumed now that she's become this assassin that that's what was meant by that comment, and it sort of
Right.
I had wrapped it up in my brain, and then I was like, wait a minute, I went down a very
Aaron Thompson
path.
thought the blue eyes was a pep talk to go get some White Walkers, but not the Night King. She didn't pick up on the no one with the Night King. She likes that.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's very clever, Matt. Good on ya. But also with Ed's, so if we now go to,
We take him off the board. We're gonna talk about it.
you want to take your
I
so
want to start
anxious to
taking these
take them.
people down.
I mean, let's
Ed
let's
is-
take them down. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that they're gone.
I mean, I
Okay.
guess
I don't
Kono,
think
Yeah.
anybody's coming
Yeah.
back, right?
Kono
Yeah.
was the first one to die technically, so I guess we should
But
take.
Kono doesn't. I don't know if Kono got points for dying.
Yeah, Kono.
Well, he undied,
Kono was
so he was definitely
Kono
dead.
Kono didn't get any points because he didn't die memorably.
Oh,
Because I mean, technically, he died memorably because he had a flaming sword
You-
and like
It was an ensemble piece, though.
Fair enough.
It- it-
He didn't
Team
go down,
effort.
he didn't
It
go
was
down
a feature.
alone
Okay,
or
yeah,
be
yeah,
featured,
okay, okay, fair enough. But Kono is gone.
Okay. How
And
do,
then
On
Ed.
with Kono.
How do you want to start? Like, who,
Well, Kono was the first one to die. Let's see if we
Right.
can do this in order.
Okay.
In order. Kono was
Kono?
the first one to die, and then I think it was Ed after that.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Ed. Ed saving
Saving Sam, who shouldn't have bloody been there to
Samwell
begin
Tarly.
with.
No, listen. It's not just about having people on the team
Who can pull their
who
weight.
can fight. It's also about the fact that he wanted to be there and fight, and he has killed. one.
He has.
I mean, like
Yeah, he
Sam
has.
is not completely
But
useless.
not in like a battle.
I mean,
Could-
listen, everybody in that battle, no matter how much combat they have seen, was like overwhelmed by that battle.
Tormund just seemed like he was going and going and
Okay,
going
Yeah.
and going.
Tormund's
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, Tormund
Tormund Giant
has-
Fetish was doing just
is
fine.
giant's milk in him, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a
he's
different
doing well.
situation.
Wendy was a little cheesed that Cersei's absence from this war had no repercussions in the battle. Weren't White Walkers supposed to kill everyone? And Kirsty says, did Jon's dragon die? He crashed pretty hard.
That's a
Rhaegal, we don't
good
know what
question.
happened with
My
Rhaegal.
Rhaegal.
Yeah.
He might be convalescing.
So, go ahead.
Rhaegal landed. Like that's the thing
Yeah.
is that Rhaegal didn't crash. Rhaegal like, kind of sort of
Skidded.
and like got his feet under him.
It's like a Battlestar Galactica battle landing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think he's still alive. According to our draft, like to
Yeah.
the points, he has not technically died.
So Rhaegal
Right.
stays up for now.
That's Rhaegal. That's I drafted Rhaegal.
Yeah, good call.
And so Ed and then Beric, right? Or was it my girl first?
oh, Lyanna.
Okay, we gotta-
Oh, Lyanna,
Yeah.
let's give this beautiful Lyanna Mormont
Oh.
shirt and this
my love.
champion.
Oh my God, Lyanna Mormont! Like what I love about this, even just the emotional story of her as an actress. So this
Yeah.
actor gets cast to be in one scene, is so awesome that they're like, there's absolutely no way that we can keep her out of this
Yeah,
show.
we would not be doing our jobs if we didn't bring her back.
Becomes the like, and I love Jorah Mormont and I love Jorah Mormont more than words can express, and I love Jorah Mormont, but she is my favorite Mormont.
Really?
Yeah, even with the deep love I have for my
Wow.
Jorah. Yeah, I know, it's true.
She's a good Mormont.
Because I'm sorry, but if you're that young and you're like, no, I'm going out on the battlefield, I'm commanding. Did you see her just like yelling out those commands?
Yeah.
I just was so, what a way to go out,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know?
The smallest possible member of battle.
Yeah.
Taking out the largest possible member of battle.
Yeah.
Good job, Lyanna.
And
Good job.
and the actress who plays her
oh, she's lovely.
was quoted as saying, when she read it, she was so excited, and she said, I either wanted to end up on the Iron Throne or die memorably, which is my favorite quote.
It's pretty great.
It's so fantastic. But
Yeah,
it's-
Aaron says Lyanna had the best death. So good. What a character. And actor. Hashtag girl power. And
Yay.
yeah, Wendy Fox is shocked you love Lyanna more.
I know. Well, because everybody in the league knows that I like Jorah
You have a
Mormont.
deep and abiding love.
I have a
for
deep.
Jorah
Listen,
Mormont.
it doesn't lessen my deep and abiding love for Jorah. I love her in a different way.
It's important.
We're gonna get to the other Mormont later, but I'm not prepared to talk about Jorah yet. I need time to process it. I'm still haven't processed it. Even though I knew he was gonna die this episode, I was like, he was one of the ones that I was like,
Definitely
pretty
gonna go.
certain.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Because Jorah has, like, the people who I feel have really done what they needed to do.
Yeah.
it made sense that they died, you know?
Yeah.
Who is the person you are most surprised didn't die?
Grey Worm.
Grey Worm for me too. Like, what the
How
hell?
did he survive?
I
Yeah.
don't understand.
He had like the soliloquy, or he had the promise. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Let's go back to Carthage.
Let's go retire
Like, hang
and-
out on the beach.
Yeah.
I'll be a constable or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like he
no.
painted a target on his back when he did that,
Yeah.
but he's still kicking.
Yeah. I mean, and I really like Grey Worm, but I was like, you're done.
Yeah, I
And then
thought
he
for
wasn't.
sure.
Yeah, I was shocked that he didn't die. Is there anybody else?
I'm shocked that
you were-
Tormund is still alive.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
shocked that Brienne is still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that both Gendry and Podrick are still alive because they're the
Yeah.
same actor. Like when I see,
are
I swear to
not.
God, when I see them, it takes me a moment to figure out what the haircut is, and it's the only thing I can do
What?
to tell them apart.
They couldn't be.
No,
They're
they're
so
pretty
different.
different.
Same cat.
Yeah.
Pod is
Same
like a
cat.
gentle faced, like lovely, and Gendry's like a tougher, like they're different.
Same cat.
I don't
Yeah.
know. He's like a cherub, Pod. I love his little,
Yeah.
like his gentle face.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
he's like so sweet, and his eyes are so sweet. Anyway,
Yeah.
Pod is delightful. So yeah, I don't know. What are other people saying
Well,
that they're surprised that?
I think it's pretty important to mention in case this is your first episode of Couch of Thrones. We get points when characters die memorably. So taking these characters down is bittersweet because every time they die, our teams get points.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like terrible and great.
Let's talk about where was Jan Royce?
Wendy Fox agrees. Gendry and Pod are totally the same.
No, they are not. Anyway,
They're not.
where is Jan Royce? I mean, I don't understand how we could just never see Jan Royce once. We saw Alice Karstark and we didn't see Jan
I know.
Royce.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Also, what happened to Alice Karstark? I'm assuming she died because she was with all the.
Oh, with Bran.
She was
Yeah.
with Bran.
Oh,
Yeah, she
with
was an archer with
Alice.
Bran. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Alice Karstark did it.
Are we gonna? I guess we need to have that confirmed before we can.
Yeah,
take her
we
down,
can't take
huh?
her
It
down.
seems crazy because it's not like she's been highlighted, but she's been around enough.
Yeah.
And she's like the last Karstark of note.
And then you're not gonna kill her on screen. You're just gonna be like, oh yeah, she was there, and then
I know,
yeah.
but I feel that way.
Guys,
Like,
so many agree with me that they're the same person.
guys, okay, fine, whatever. Where was Jan Royce? Is he not the commander of the army of the
Yeah.
like from the Vale?
Well, and his belly is so big in that armor. There's no way he would have been like missed when the whites
Maybe
were
he
going
can just
for him.
crawl in like a turtle.
Yes.
Jan
I
Royce-
can see. Maybe he's actually tiny inside,
Maybe.
and he keeps it just so he can turtle.
I want to say that I drafted Robert Glover as one of my last draft picks because I had to draft somebody,
Yeah.
and I really wanted him to
Here
show
he is.
up, and he didn't because he's just a
Coward.
cowardly traitor.
And now Lyanna's not around to sass him for being
I
a
know
coward.
how much it would have been so good to watch Lyanna Assassin.
Well, and the thing about the Glovers is they decided to winter in Deepwood Motte, which is not a place
it's
anyone
not like
should winter.
summering in the Catskills.
I'd
it's a
rather
bit different.
like winter in Miami if you
Yeah.
must. But no, he decided to winter in their fort in Deepwood Motte. And when you look at the map, and they sort of do a beeline of the White Walkers to get to Winterfell in the opening, if you go this way instead, you get to Deepwood Motte. So it's possible
that they didn't
that-
come down.
that they're
like,
just still
this
chilling in
way.
Deepwood Motte, and the Glovers were right.
Robert Glover is never right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, but
And it
Fuck
only
that
it
guy.
only worked out because the Night King
Yeah.
fights it.
So let's say that it looks like they get sort of moments of victory where you think, oh, then they finally light that. I liked the mislighting, like the misfire of their anticipation that they would light.
That the dragons would just easily light that
Well,
up.
and the whole thing about the Night King bringing the storm. I mean, if we're being honest, they were very bad at strategizing.
yeah.
Everyone.
They didn't anticipate well,
Like
like
and
the
the
characters.
Night King is the worst Air Force commander.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine a worse plan than the Night King choosing to be in the battle. It's he's the one shot, everything's gone. He
Yeah.
should have been like chilling at the wall.
Okay, but this is what I'll say about this. So we have a philosophical difference of opinion in our
What we think the show is about.
yeah, and what we think the show is about in between our teams. So there are people in our league who feel like the fundamental question of the show had to do with the Night King and this force of nature.
And the battle of life over death.
Yes.
An existential threat.
And then there are people who lean more toward the idea that it's actually about the realm of humans and how they deal with this threat and each other. And so last night was a very divisive episode because two of the people, so Matt and Chris, were like, what? how could this have happened? Why is this part of the story over? And we were like,
Yeah.
no, it kind of tracks, like disappointed with some aspects of it,
Yeah.
but it's still kind of tracked. And I think the one thing that some people, I think, have sort of imbued the Night King with, and I'm not sure why, but is that he's kind of this like smart, evil villain.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's actually proven that he's like has prowess as a like
No, he
he's
can
a-
throw a javelin
Yeah.
and he can
Yeah.
he
Right?
can like command a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's not in any way intelligent, and you know why? He's a Stark.
Matt doesn't like the Starks.
These Starks are dumb as a hammer as far back as they go.
Disagree, hard disagree. We had a fight about it this morning. Matt and I are married at home. We over breakfast. We argued about the Starks. But what are you
As
gonna
one
do?
does, yeah.
Now, Kirsty loved how Theon redeemed himself
Ah.
somewhat in the end, and it's the first time he didn't run.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that you bring that up, and I totally agree. It was so beautiful. It was a beautiful. Yeah, and there were lots of moments in that.
Yeah.
Many beats in that whole section.
Yeah.
Um,
I very reluctantly picked Theon Greyjoy to be on my team
I
because I
remember.
really disliked his whole thread, his whole storyline.
yeah.
And I think Bran completely lied when he said to him, "You're a good man," because
No.
honestly, he's neither a good man nor a bad man. He's whatever the crowd around him makes him out
No,
to be.
No,
I
no, no,
disagree.
He's not a good man, and I don't think anyone who burns 2 children alive could really wind up landing on the side of good men.
Okay, so how can you? I'm gonna call you out right now, Matt
Do it.
Campagna.
Do it.
How can you go along with the redemption of Jaime Lannister and not go down for the redemption of Theon Greyjoy? If you can look at Jaime Lannister,
Jaime Lannister's not a good man.
yes, he is a good man at heart.
No.
He's become a good
He
man.
has. Don't you believe in redemption?
I don't believe there are momentary lapses of integrity.
Oh,
I think-
I 100%. I think most of the world is momentary lapses in integrity.
No, I think you just find out how crappy you are and do your best to not be quite that crappy forever. But if the worst things you did were throw children out of windows and burn them alive as decoys, I don't think you'll ever really land on good man in my book.
It's horrible, yes. But
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
and Bran has said it a bunch of times, specifically in this season, that like the way he forgave Jamie. You what you did got you here.
Yes.
And he said, and it's like
Got you here to save my ass, which is helpful for
No,
Red.
that's
yeah,
not what
but I
it
mean,
is,
like,
though.
yeah, but I mean, it got you here to, redeem yourself, to be, part of this. I think that's a big part of the story is that,
Yeah, I think the pendulum swung back, but I don't think it swung to good man. I think that's
I disagree.
That's a bit of a stretch. Although Kirsty says she had an argument with her sister about Theon today as well. He's a very divisive character, and Kirsty's sister agrees with me. But that means Kirsty agrees with you guys. And Aaron is saying that we saw the Night King smile last night, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Also, what about him walking through fire? Is he a Targaryen?
Okay, so I saw an article online that I did not get a chance to read before we came to camera, but that said he is not a Targaryen. So there are like people are answering this question.
Okay.
I think the thing about the Night King that has been a bit disappointing for me is that we haven't really gotten to know enough about his magic.
yeah.
And as
Yeah.
a person who loves magic and that element of fantasy, I really wish there had been a bit more clarity
Yeah.
about why certain things happen to him or don't happen to him.
Right.
For me personally,
Right.
I mean, I never really thought the Night King was a formidable sort of villain or opponent.
Oh, I did.
I mean, I didn't because I thought it was his power seemed limited because of the way they used him. I'm not saying he couldn't have been, but I felt like I don't know. I just never connected.
I mean, I always just saw him as the Terminator. I always just saw him
Yeah,
as
right.
Especially when he's emerging from fire.
From fire, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But just like, yeah, he was designed specifically to get rid of people. So that's like by the children of
Of the
the
forest,
forest.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I didn't really need any other motivation other than that. It's like he's a machine that's
Yeah,
doing that.
I didn't need motivation. I just felt like I didn't understand. Whereas with the
Like, yeah.
Terminator, like the Terminator's fight to survive and keep killing
Yeah.
is the best thing. Like just watching him
Yeah.
in all like
Struggle through
to
fire
come
and-
back. That's interesting, and I felt like they weren't really doing that.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like it was a bit of a missed opportunity. With that character to
My
go
God.
deeper.
The
but who
Night
knows?
King is
but
a
I'm
pile of
happy.
missed
But I'm
opportunities.
I'm happy that storyline is done.
I kind of didn't like him smiling. I
Oh.
preferred it. Once he smiled, I was just kind of like, oh, that's not cool. Just be like stoic and like.
To
you
me, it
know.
was a bit like Luke
Schwarzenegger.
Skywalker's.
Yeah,
It
it's
was like cool, but is that the character?
Yeah, but he's not Luke Skywalker. Yeah, exactly. Like that.
Yeah.
That yeah. If you,
Right.
well, and especially if you see him as a Terminator,
yeah.
it's like him having a kind of. I think what was weird about it is like it felt like suddenly there was a much more personal investment there, or like a reaction to his strength,
Yeah.
and that seemed out of character.
And there was a definite level of hubris, right? Like the idea that it is like he thought, just like you said, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna come into this battle and
Nothing can
whatever,
touch me.
nothing will ever touch
Yeah.
me.
Well, and it's questionable whether the Night King knew he could be killed.
Yeah.
Because the only White Walker that's ever been killed by Valyrian steel
Yeah.
died, and his whole posse went down with him. And did anyone ever tell the Night King that happened? I don't know there were survivors to do so.
Right.
So it's possible the Night King just considered himself perfectly immortal, and there's only one place that he can be killed apparently, and it's the place where he was created.
Yeah.
Which is where the Children of the Forest
Right.
thrust
Like a
the
sternum,
dragon
I
glass
guess,
in.
Right.
right?
Yeah, so if you're gonna put Valyrian steel in there, I guess that would do the job. But I don't know. I feel like if you want to make a character that the tension is how will he die, there should be something the audience knows that the characters don't know, so that we can like wait for this thing to occur.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that he could die, so it was a surprise to us as well. So they sort of decided we're not going to go with tension, we're going to go with surprise. And I just don't think the surprise landed in a spot that satisfied me. And not just because he was my first round draft pick and now he's dead and I
Right.
don't get points for him anymore.
Yeah.
That's something, but that's not everything.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
Did Bran know that he could?
That he could die? I don't think so.
Well, Jay McCarroll says, the smile sucked. You're right, Trev, as always.
Thanks, Jay.
Nice.
Thank you, Jay.
Nice.
This is the reason why I asked. Who gave the dagger to Arya?
Bran.
Bran.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
Bran,
it was the dagger that was designed to kill
To
him.
kill
It was
Bran.
handed out
Yeah.
to kill
Yeah.
him.
So, like, is it? I kind of feel like my other question is, where did he go? Like, he didn't just go in a bunch of crows.
He
right?
warged into some crows to hang out. And
I
what was
don't
that?
think-
What was that loving glance between the Night King and Bran that just lasted for what felt like hours as they were just
I
staring
felt
at
like
each other?
I felt like just I want to get back to this, but that gazing that happened between them, I almost felt like it was a scene from like an 80s movie. Like there should have been like
Yeah.
80s like an 80s ballad underneath it, and they were like it was so
Yeah,
intense.
like crows and doves. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
released behind them.
Yeah, it was strange. But I agree with you. I don't want to think this because I want there to be a better explanation. I don't think he just worked into those birds to follow the Night King. I think something else.
It must have happened.
I think so. But I don't think that Bran, again, over and over we've brought this up. What can Bran see and what does Bran know?
Yeah.
Because he's referred to as a green seer in the books, which is a term that the Children of the Forest give to someone who can see the future or the past, have some kind of sight beyond sight.
Right.
And so that also doesn't explain whether he can see the future or the past or both.
I don't think he can see the future. I think he obviously can go back and see the past when he gets prompts. And I don't know if that's because he's not yet developed into the three-eyed raven that what's his name? Von Zimmer?
Max von Sydow.
Yes, Max von Sydow.
Von Zimmer.
Baron
Max
Zemo
von
would be the
Baron
Avengers
Zemo.
villain, but
That's
yeah,
right.
getting there.
I always confuse them. But yeah, I don't think is it because of that or is it because the three-eyed raven
Right.
only has a certain portals to that depending on what's happening? Like again, that isn't clear for me.
Right.
Well, Aaron Thompson agrees, considering it was her first round draft pick with David, She says Bran equals boring.
Oh.
And she thought they would learn more about the Children of the Forest, which I agree with.
I thought so too.
Like there's
Yeah,
there's a
I thought so
large
too.
fantasy world here that they've like dipped their toe into and then haven't explained and now like murdered the main way into it. And so now all we've got is Bran, and Bran only gets into stuff when he's prompted. So who's gonna prompt him to explain what the hell happened?
Now, do you think that they are going to focus on that in the prequel? Do you think they are leaving things
Oh.
that some of the threads that are being left open are
Yeah.
because they're going to go into that in a whole other series? Because frankly, a series about the Children of the Forest and all of that would
Yeah.
be very, really interesting.
Well, I've got to say, the fact that there was a time when HBO was referring to the Night King as the Night's King, which is his name in the books, and then suddenly shifted the name and changed it in every place it had appeared to the Night King, which is not a character in the books. There's no character in the books named the Night King. There's only the Night's King, and they are different in the way they're portrayed. The Night King seems to take on the properties of essentially a White Walker who's a trooper of the Night's Queen, which is a whole other character we've never seen. And the Night's King is a Stark who falls in love with the Night's Queen. And so there are certain elements of this character that seem to be pulled from different parts. Now, I'd love to think that the reason we're getting this like mismatched version of this is because they built some other character that might be in the prequels.
Maybe. I mean, remains to be seen.
I know,
but there
because
are
otherwise it
certainly,
feels like kind of a waste of good mythology.
and there's certainly questions that it seems that they are very willingly and consciously saying, we're not going to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've heard them interviewed, Ben
Yeah.
and Weiss, and they'll just be like, I don't know, is it the Valyrian steel or is it the dragon? Like, why is this the weapon that killed him?
You
I don't know,
decide.
you decide. Like, they
Right,
are
right.
leaving certain things out.
And
So,
Lexine Francis replies to Kirsty saying, he's walked through fire before, and he made it dissipate around him. I think it's because he's just that cold.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
maybe it
mean,
could be,
that's
yeah.
pretty valid, yeah. So let's talk about, since we're on the Night King, we've talked about Theon and the beautiful exit of Theon Greyjoy. Let's
take a
let's talk about this choice to have my girl, my number one draft pick, 2 seasons in a row, Arya Stark, kill the Night King. How are we feeling about this?
You know what was interesting, because I was talking to my wife, Dale. Hi, Dale, if you're watching.
Hi, Joe.
And she doesn't watch this anymore.
The show, yeah.
She doesn't watch the show anymore. And she had saw stuff on social media, obviously. And what I tend to do is, like, she doesn't care to watch it anymore, so I just describe it in, like, the most ridiculous.
You're like a Wikipedia.
Yeah, exactly. And I just say, yeah. And I have to use, like, euphemisms because she doesn't know anybody's names and everything.
Right.
But then basically I said, yeah, this is what happened. Arya killed the Night King. It's like, oh, she's going to sit on the Iron Throne then. And I was like, why do you say that? And she's like, because that's just how these things work. It's like the person who does the most glorified thing is going to get it. And it never occurred to me that Arya.
Well,
could
because
be
she is in no way a leader of men.
Yeah.
So it would be like
Yeah.
watching Robert Baratheon take the throne again. You've got this excellent warrior
Yeah.
who is not someone who should sit on the throne
Well,
and lead people.
I'm sorry, but Arya would be better at leading people than Robert Baratheon. Yes.
She has like no people skills.
Robert Baratheon.
At least he was likable before he was like a total drunk philanderer. He was a likable
I don't know
leader,
how much.
apparently.
I mean, likability.
If Ned Stark likes you, you can't be all bad. Because Ned Stark is a
Stark
good man.
loved Arya Stark.
Like, yeah, but he kind of.
Yeah, before she was cutting people's faces off.
Listen.
Yeah, before she was tearing off faces
Listen.
and cutting people open.
I think. The reason why I drafted her this season, besides the fact that I absolutely love this character, have loved her from the beginning, absolutely love that she became a cold stone killer.
Yeah.
Like, I was into it. But I did think she might kill the Night King. Especially then in last episode when the episode before when she asked for that weapon that looked like a spear with dragon glass. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, Jane McCarroll says, I wish she employed a special move. She just came out of nowhere. And, like, how? We don't see it. It's a bit of a cheat. I disagree, Jay, because there was a moment in last season when Brienne meets Arya on the battlefield and they're sparring,
Yeah.
where she does the drop the thing, have the thing, put the thing up. Like, she used the drop the knife move, and it was foreshadowed, and then we saw it again. So she did have a special move.
She had a special move.
She also flies.
But sort of there's two things you're saying there. And the first part, I think, it is true. I think they wanted to go for that moment of surprise where she comes in over his shoulder. But I think, which was awesome visually and narratively, that surprise. But there was an aspect to it where, she does come out of nowhere. You don't see her get through those other White Walkers.
Right.
It's a valid question of like, it might. I know there's a faction of fans who wanted to see more of her getting to him, or
Yeah, those White Walkers
You
were
know.
sleeping on the job, just
Yeah.
watching this
Yeah.
tiny girl sail through the air.
I mean,
These are people who are able to throw a javelin at a dragon.
It is the
they
biggest
missed
moment
that.
of their like undead lives, right?
Mhm.
It's like we're just about to see like this is it. Like,
Yeah,
we got it. We
that's
did
right.
it. Yeah. Here's another interesting bit of trivia I learned at coffee with my wife, Dale, who doesn't watch Game of Thrones.
Dale with the nuggets.
She was listening to an interview with Maisie.
Yeah.
And apparently she's not left-handed.
No, so she
Right.
learned how
So
to.
she learned everything
Yeah.
right-handed. So I was wondering about that weapon. Is like, did they make that weapon so that it wasn't so hard?
Well, and she's become essentially ambidextrous
Yeah.
because she's a right-handed person who's now trained left-handed
That's
to
insane.
fit the character.
Yeah, so in
That's
season
insane.
1, because Arya is left-handed in the book, she decided to learn how to fight left-handed, which really worked for the character too. I mean,
Right.
it's authentic. It's like method acting.
Sure.
She's like, I'll learn this. But so now she is pretty ambidextrous, which is why she's also able to then, I mean, and the people, the weapons master on the show, the stunt team wanted her to go through those tunnels. So
Yeah.
she has the open battle with the quarterstaff.
Yeah.
Where she's awesome, and Davos is just like respect as he watches
Yeah.
her and fear. And then the stunt team was like, we would love her to go through these claustrophobic tunnels,
But a
of
big long
course,
stick is a terrible weapon.
yeah,
for
you can't
Right.
quarterstaff it, so that's why they made it into that.
Oh, it's
But because she's so ambidextrous, like Maisie Williams does most of the fighting herself. Like the dangerous stunts, she has a stunt double, but she's like just so awesome.
Pretty amazing. Like
Fuck.
her fight sequences in this was.
And
Oof,
Wendy
awesome.
Fox says Arya snuck up on John in the exact same spot in
Oh,
episode 1 of
That's
the
Yeah.
right.
season.
That
Yeah.
is right,
She's-
Wendy.
She does the sneaky ways
John is
into
the Night King.
to the werewolf.
John is the Night King. Who's the Night King? I loved it. I really loved that they
Yeah.
chose her to do it. I think there's more to Arya than and same. I think the Starks have been really a fascinating group of people to watch because they've all been underestimated in some way or another, and they've all risen to some sort of interesting service and purpose that I don't think any of them would have ever obviously thought that they would.
Well, when
And-
you consider that Robb Stark is the one you'd expect to become the warden, and that Rickon would have been the able-bodied young kid,
Yeah.
you've got these two characters who are out of commission,
Yeah.
and now you're dealing with the bastard and the kid who can't walk. And
Yeah.
then the only other two that are left are girls, which everyone dismisses
Women
in
now,
this
but
world.
yes, yeah.
But were girls,
Were
at
girls,
the time.
yeah,
So they
yeah.
were like the characters you would dismiss.
Mhm.
And so it's great to see that essentially all of the underdogs are the Starks that are left, and it makes sense when Ned was not supposed to be warden.
Right.
It was his brother that was supposed to be warden, and he was supposed to marry Catelyn. And then Ned winds up marrying Catelyn. Like the
Oh my
underdog
God.
of the Starks
Yeah.
always wind up having to rise to the occasion,
Yeah.
and it just makes
Underwolf.
sense.
The
Underwolves.
Underwolves. Okay.
Yes.
On the topic of wolves, where the hell did it go? What
Ghost.
happens with Ghost? Ghost this season appears and then
And then does
no
nothing.
no pun intended vanishes for the rest
Yeah.
of the like.
It was so cool when Ghost was running.
Yes.
Beside the horses. Like,
Yeah.
so quickly. It was like,
Keeping up with those horses.
let's
Wow.
see this wolf kill, and then it's like disappeared. Is he dead?
I think he just probably ran off to the left. He was like, I'm
He's
getting
like,
out
oh
of
my
here.
God.
Guys,
This doesn't look good.
guys, no.
Yeah.
I will say, I want to talk about Jon and Dany for a second.
Mm.
And I've already said on this very episode of Couch of Thrones, these two are. I still have a soft spot for Jon. I've quite loved Jon for the whole show. Daenerys, I have lots of issues with, but I feel like this episode, they had their moments, But for like the first half of this episode, did you not feel like it was like they just were rendered? It was an
Boring.
interesting tactic by the writers to be like, let's render them useless, pretty much, by like putting them in the fog of war
Right.
and have them not be able to do very much.
And their mid-air collision, like they wound up basically being the three most boring characters. They just put them on dragons
Yeah.
to keep
A
them
little
to
bit.
give them something to do, which was fly around and be dragons.
I liked the two moments I will say that I liked. I really loved Daenerys getting to actually fight a little bit
Yeah.
with Jorah and like get in on the
Right.
action.
And kind of defend him.
Yeah, like I thought that was great because she hasn't been in battles. That hasn't been her experience, and I thought it actually made me like her more in this episode
Yeah.
to see her in the thick of it and not standing back expecting people to bow to her and bend to her. Like she got in there, and I have respect for that. And I loved the moment, the very real moment of Jon running up to confront that dragon and then being like, no,
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
terrified.
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna
Just
get him. I'm
like-
gonna run.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What did you feel? These are like they were two of the bigger characters. Everyone's watching their storyline. How did you feel about them in this episode?
I think it was interesting because they sort of ended up doing what their characters naturally do, where they when she watched the Dothraki die, she just jumped into action and said, "No, my instinct is to kill fire. I'm gonna kill something." Where John's instinct was, "I'm gonna take my dragon and go and follow the rules. Follow the rules.
I got a battle
Rules,
plan.
I'm gonna go
yeah.
sit beside Brain and I'm gonna sit on this dragon and I know people are dying out there, but I'm gonna sit on this dragon and just sit here
Yeah.
and wait."
Yeah.
And he did that consistently through the episode. There were moments where he was watching Sam probably die, and he just ran away
He did,
to
yeah,
go
there was
look
that moment.
after Bran
Right.
instead. So
Right.
like, on the one hand, he's being a good brother, but really he's following the plan, and the
Yeah.
plan was, I think it's bad if Bran gets caught by the Night King, but we don't know why.
Right.
So let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's his duty. Maybe it's a sense of duty. Maybe it's a sense of
But if nothing else, it was the plan.
Right.
And so he was like,
right.
for once,
Okay.
he didn't stop to save Sam.
But if it was the plan, I guess I think that one tactical mistake they made was in thinking that they wanted to be close to Bran to protect him because they were using Bran as bait.
Right.
But they didn't want to be too close so that the Night King wouldn't go. And I was like, well, what about the Night King makes you think that he cares about how close you are? Like, it was an interesting, I thought, a misread of the situation in terms of their tactics.
Yeah.
Personally, but I mean, I'm no general. I just from a storytelling point of view, I just thought it was curious that there weren't more people, because they said it all comes down to the Night King. You kill the Night King,
Right.
You kill the threat, and so I felt like they spent so much time defending themselves and not enough time being offensive.
Right.
Offensive toward not offensive.
They were being so
They were
offensive.
so offensive
Guys,
to that Night King.
Couldn't believe how offensive it was.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting. What did you think about Daenerys? How do we feel about Daenerys right now?
I mean, I thought she was the kind of boring, predictable spot she's fallen into. Like, she'll do something out of the passion of the moment that is not a great idea. And that just kind of tends to be her thing these days.
She's
there
impulsive,
She's
yeah.
very impulsive.
Yeah.
And, Jorah wound up kind of paying the price for the fact that she didn't think of the fact that if she lands her dragon, all the White Walkers are going to friggin'
Right.
lynch it.
Yeah.
And essentially the only way for Drogon to look after himself was to kick everything off of him, and
Yeah,
that included
including her.
Dany.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to survive.
I thought they put her in a really interesting situation now because she has nothing.
yeah.
She's
Yeah.
lost the
She's lost her
Dothraki. She's
Dothraki.
lost. Yeah.
Everybody but
the
Grey Worm.
all those Unsullied. Like we
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
talked about the how many Unsullied
Yeah.
are just
And
gone.
also the North is dead. There's like a few dozen members of the largest
Yeah.
kingdom in
Yeah.
the realm left, because every able-bodied human,
Yeah.
except for the Glovers in Deepwood Mott, all came to Winterfell, and they were all, whether they were farmers or not, given
Yeah.
dragonglass and told to go out and fight. And so we just watched all of them get murdered, except for like Tormund.
It's a huge power vacuum right now.
Yeah.
And it's this next episode, while it looks like it's a lot of celebrating and a lot of like,
Hmm.
yeah, let's just take a day off and see what happened. it's gonna be time for Varys. It's gonna be time for cause really
Tyrion.
Tyrion, like
Yeah.
she's all Dany's got right now is Tyrion and Grey Worm and Missandei.
Yeah.
And no
And
army and
one dragon, maybe two, depending on how
Yeah.
Rhaegal's feeling.
And I will
and,
say,
and that's not even her dragon anymore.
I will
Yeah,
say,
really,
that's
that's
right.
Jon's
That's
now.
Jon's dragon. I will say this: there were a lot of really subtle moments in this episode that I think tell us a lot of what is going to happen moving forward. I think the moments between Sansa and Tyrion say a lot, not only about their relationship, but also the building of a wedge here for Tyrion. Because when they're joking about their marriage and all the
Yeah.
great little quips.
Yeah.
There's also the moment where she begrudges. She talks to him about Daenerys,
And
and
then
his
Missandei.
his loyalties being divided, and Missandei is like, without her, you'd all be
dead
dead.
right now.
And I
Right.
think that I think there's a shot of her in the Sansa in the trailer for next week's episode, where something's up, and I think that whatever this rift is between her and Daenerys in terms of the North and what happens with the people who are left,
Tyrion's
and
caught in it now.
Tyrion's caught in that, and I'm hoping that becomes part of
Yeah.
the story moving forward.
Now,
Right.
Kirsty thinks that if Dany hadn't used the Dragonfire to wipe out some of the armies would have been wiped out within minutes. I think she just wanted to give them a fighting chance, and then she went to fight the Night King.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll buy that.
impulsive choices definitely helpful in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, but also like fog of war, man.
You're also
Fog of War.
Fog of War.
Fog of War.
They should have just named this episode Fog of
Fog
War.
of War.
But you're in those moments. You are just going with your gut. I mean, I can't even imagine. I've never been in any kind of battle, let alone a battle
Yeah.
This
like
size.
zombies.
Yeah.
But I think everyone is just going on instinct, and I think we've seen these characters. These are their instincts, right?
Yeah.
Like Arya's instinct. And what was interesting is there's a lot of also talk about this scene with Arya in the library and whether or not some people were like, that seemed out of character, but the creators of the show talk about it in this really interesting way. She gets wounded, she hits her head, and I think this is a threat that she has never, like the intensity of this threat is so huge that I think she starts to shut down
Yeah.
and does it, because for her to not try and kill all those whites in that library,
Yeah.
that's a different Arya than we've seen.
Yeah, and I think, well, I mean, I think we talked about this. This was the first battle she's ever been in. She's used to just killing people individually.
Yeah, right.
So like, yeah, I think it was a question of like, how many are in here? What am I doing?
What do I do? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw her also trying to use some of her skills that she learned fighting the waif,
Yeah.
and training in the House of Black and White,
And being
Right.
dead silent.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I liked it, and I thought it was really helpful in terms of keeping that thread of tension going.
Oh yeah.
And I think the
Yeah.
fact that there was the head trauma that she got, and I didn't really clock it because there were so many things going on, but when I rewatched that moment of the head trauma, I was like, oh shit, yeah, you're not going to be seeing clearly for a while,
Yeah.
if not, like, you could pass out.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
that's concussion.
yeah,
right
that's
there.
concussion
Yeah.
material. So
Yeah.
the idea that she would just waltz into that and be the Arya of old, no problem,
Yeah.
just like she was 10 minutes before,
Yeah.
would have been just too much.
Okay, so I think it's time to talk through some points, and then other things will come up while we do.
Yeah.
So,
And Aaron Thompson says Arya's a pro one-to-one combat and in small groups, but she needed to take a break, and she used her skills at being so quiet.
yeah, it's true. So this week, someone who shot to the top of the charts.
Here we go.
This guy over here,
Hey.
Grin and Barrick is his team name, with 515 points.
From 195
That's
points last
it.
week.
We
You
haven't.
lost some
I
cash.
lost
You have
some-
some casualties.
So what
I
is
think
he
the
at,
last one we have
515?
to say goodbye to.
Yeah, by Jorah.
Yeah, is this 2 on
Yeah,
ceremony?
let's take
No,
Mr.
do it.
Do you wanna do
Mr.
it?
I'm gonna
Lamont
do
down.
it.
You do it. Say goodnight.
Good night, Jorah. I love you.
Yeah,
He
your
doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to
Just
go.
wanna go.
your bruisers really took a beating, and we're not even sure that
Alex
that
Karstark?
Karstark is still kicking around.
I have
Bye,
hopes.
Gerard.
I have hopes.
I don't think Alice Karstark's sticking around, but she's not officially dead. So, in second place is this gal right here,
Whoa.
the Heat of the Mormont, the name of my team,
Very
with
nice.
510 points.
Whoa.
We are so
Yeah.
close.
We are so close.
I know.
But you're so alive.
I know, I'm so alive.
Yeah, you
I'm
got a lot of
alive
characters.
with the sound of music. Yeah, my top scorer was obviously Arya. She also became the MVP of the episode, which gets her to 20 extra
Oh, yeah,
points.
that makes sense.
Well, that put it over. That would
now-
put you over the top.
I think I need to bring up a point of contention that Wendy Fox has. I think it's important. So the way that our league is set up, you have a certain caps. So if you use magic, you only get to use it once in an episode, and you get 50 points. If you kill a random white or a random person that we don't know, you get 10 points per person or 15 points per whites up until
5.
yeah, 5.
So
So you
50
get
points.
50 point maximums. But they have never established a cap on Fantasizer for White Walkers because nobody was really killing
Right.
White
Yeah, nobody
Walkers
was
in big
clocking
numbers.
a mass murder of White Walkers.
So I got like 90 points for
No.
Arya killing White Walkers because ostensibly she killed
All
all those White Walkers that
of
were
Wow.
there. So yeah, I cleaned up
And
there.
the dragon? And
I got points for killing the dragon.
Oh yeah, speaking of which.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, V-Dog.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got points for for for
Because he's a white.
Yeah.
But he's a dragon.
And then got other violence points and such. But yeah, I had a crazy. I mean, Arya. Last season, I picked Arya as my first draft
And
pick.
in episode 1,
She killed all the
the
Freys.
Freys.
Right.
So like you came out of the gate, and Aaron's asking, is Arya the highest
Scorer of
scoring
the
character
episode?
like of the season or period?
Well, of this episode, Arya is the top scorer.
That makes sense.
Whoa,
Second,
225.
second place is Melisandre, so Aaron and David's pick. And third place.
Oh, apparently Arya got points for dragon killing, but not full dragon killing points because the dragon was already dead.
Right, thank you. Wendy probably told
There's
us
a
that,
lot
right?
of minutia in this.
Yeah. And then the third place top scorer was Beric Dondarrion, followed by the Night King. So those were the top 4.
Oh, wow.
Man, Beric Dondarrion beat the Night King. The Night King was my first round draft pick.
I know.
So I gotta say, a little disappointed.
But it makes sense because you thought that
You wanna pull down
everything
this
was
one?
gonna culminate in.
yeah, I
right?
expected
Yeah.
the Night King to go to episode 5 at least.
Okay, so
Whoa,
in,
look at this. This is
I
a
know.
lot of.
This,
lot of
we've
Zach.
never
A
seen
lot of Zach.
this kind
Yeah.
of carnage.
in third place right now in our draft, third place standing is a team has no name. David and Aaron's team with 425 points.
And I gotta say, they were in last.
They were in last
dead
place.
Last place.
You guys, you climbed. You guys should get the MVP 425, the MVP of our draft
Yeah.
for like most improved.
Yeah, big
Because
save.
all of your magic and all of your, it's good. In fifth place, no, 4th place. Sorry, they were in third. Fourth place is Jorah Winter Baby. Oh, it's so bittersweet because it's Jorah Winter Baby.
Yeah.
Which is Wendy Fox at 415 points.
415.
Very close with third and fourth there. Wendy, yeah, you had a good. You had some good times, Wendy. You had some good times.
Well, and Wendy says, Aaron says, finally Melisandre showed up, but Bran is still boring.
He did give you 50 magic points.
Yeah, nothing.
And I think he might have gotten other points for. I'll check in a second. In fifth place is Thoros of Beer, which is Chris Bond's team with 305 points. Which, you and Chris both weren't happy about the direction of the episode.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah.
say, Chris
Yeah.
and I being in the bottom 2 and also being unhappy with the way the episode rolled out, I feel like the cause and effect of that just feeds one another. Because ultimately, it's because Chris and I had very different ideas than you guys of what this season was going to be about.
Yeah.
And, if you use the Lord of the Rings example, like, Lord of the Rings has 4 endings. Your first ending is, yay, we killed Sauron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got the, oh, look who's king. It's going to be Aragorn. How nice.
Yeah.
And then you wind up with the, oh, look, the elves are leaving. And then there's the, oh, Frodo, you're going to leave too?
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's, oh, Sam's going to go get a girlfriend. Like, so many
He's gonna get
endings.
A wife
A
and a
wife.
kid, and then he's
Yeah.
gonna tell us the story.
And so this
Yeah.
idea that we now have 3 more episodes for Aragorn to get the throne and Sam to get a wife
But-
is just
but
a
you
lot of
keep-
episodes.
But we're not watching Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings.
No,
Like,
it's
yes,
true.
it is a very
It's true.
Tolkien-esque.
I came at it
story.
from the perspective that the existential threat was the through line
Yeah.
because it's the it's the hook in the first episode of the first season is the White Walkers, and so for me I was like, well, that's the end, because Cersei Lannister being a horrible villain, has been like a gradual thing to make her
Right.
into the worst. Where we also had Jamie become less of a villain. Like the jockeying for who's the worst piece of garbage on this show has taken a while. And I mean, there were times where Theon was one of the
Oh,
worst pieces
yeah,
of garbage on
yeah.
the show. So, you know,
This is a show with
A lot of
Joffrey
garbage.
Baratheon and Ramsay, Bolton.
So yeah, we've been watching a bunch of like bad people be bad and how bad, and now we've realized that Cersei's as bad as it gets. But the Night King's worse. Like the Night King will end all life everywhere because he's a force of nature, not because he's a nasty bastard.
Right, but the Night King is a kind of in some ways like the Thanos snap of like an indiscriminate kind of like
Yeah.
he's not trying to kill specific people with the exception of Bran, who holds humanity in him and the history of humanity.
Without being particularly, human.
But I think what's interesting for me is how much I've heard a lot of people say this that the cold open of the show, no pun intended, but the catalyst of the show being the White Walker and being north of the Wall. I don't think that was actually what that sets things in motion for us to enter the story.
Right.
But the big scene for me that I come away from in that first episode, other than of course the things we do for love, Bran goes out the window, is the scene where Ned talks about how they deal with people and with what's happened and how they deal with these stories and who punishes people and how it's about how the humans in the story manage the things that are happening that they can't control.
But the symmetry of that for me is that if we start with the walkers and work our way into the way people feel and who's on the throne, the other end should be who's on the throne, how we deal with people, the White Walkers.
See, I disagree.
So I really thought we would go like all the way to there, but I see
Yeah.
our mirror is
In
not.
the end, this has always been a living piece, right? When they started this, for all they knew, they were like, well, George is just going to finish the books, then we're just going to follow the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe the intention was, the end of
Maybe.
this series will be this ending. I think as this series is going along, and for me personally, the most interesting part of this theory is the idea of breaking the wheel. And I feel like that is what the end of this series is going to be about, the last
Right.
3 episodes. Hopefully. I'm
Well,
hoping it is.
and I thought so too, and
Yeah.
that it would be the Night King
Right.
that would break it.
Yeah.
Because Daenerys is not interested in breaking the wheel anymore. Daenerys just wants her part of the wheel to
Yeah,
happen.
it's gotten too complicated for her to try and she's lost sight of what that means.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if the idea that Jon could break the wheel, it's not his intention to do any of this.
No. He's
so
just trying to survive.
there aren't a lot of people with the like sheer firepower and intention to break the wheel. If it breaks now, it'll be because it broke down.
Right.
Well, I think there are still a few people. I think Tyrion is still a person
Yeah.
who cares about the realm and what that means. I think Varys is that person. I think that Sansa has a sense of that. I think Jon is starting to have a sense of what it is to deal with oppression and other people. Like there's a lot of information coming into that power center.
Yeah.
How that gets resolved remains to be seen.
And I think John is the perfect conduit for it because technically he's dead. I mean, technically he shouldn't be alive.
It's
He's-
true, yeah.
He's there for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing about Barrick's death, in the books at least, you find out that every time he dies and comes back, like a part of him doesn't make it back. And so he has forgotten his family. The only thing that he can remember is that Ned Stark on the throne told him to go get the mountain. And the rest of his life has just dissolved into a haze of resurrection forgetting.
Right.
And so I really wonder if Jon has lost something. Because the show hasn't made that a factor.
Right.
And if any of this happens in the book, George would make it a factor because he's
Right.
already established it, and not paying it off would just make him look like a bad writer.
I mean, the Benioff and Weiss did talk to him. They know how George R. R. Martin planned. I don't know what's going to happen now with those books, but planned to end the story.
Right,
So,
before they even started
Yeah, yeah.
shooting the
So
pilot,
whether
they
they-
delivered the ending in a book that
Yeah.
no one has seen but Benioff and Weiss.
yeah, what's happened since then and where things go, who knows? We should say that you, Matt,
Oh yeah.
you're making me crazy.
240, bottom of the barrel.
240 points.
Yeah. So now my only hope is that Nora Ephron is the Night's Queen.
There's a character named Nora. We represent her with a picture of Nora Ephron.
And so I'm
because why
hoping
not?
that Nora is the Night's Queen, and really the Night King was just one of many of her men that were out there, and there's a whole other swarm heading south.
Any other last thoughts or predictions or things you want to say?
Well, Wendy is so relieved that Jamie is still alive, which
Yes.
is her first
First.
round draft
Yeah.
pick. So yeah, you
your
can-
team is still strong, Wendy.
Yeah,
Strong
yeah,
team.
you got a lot of
How are
exciting
you
people still
feeling,
there.
Trevor, with your losses there?
You know what? It took a lot out of me. I gotta say that.
It took
I
every
really
other character.
am putting a lot of faith in Gilly, Alice Karstark, and Hot Pie.
Yeah, I mean, Hot Pie's gonna save the day.
Yeah, but I'm feeling pretty good. I think because John has survived episode 3.
Yeah.
Here's another thing from my wife, Dale.
Dale is like the
Does not watch the show.
Game of Thrones whisperer.
Because she always has a unique perspective on things, and she always sort of guesses the end of things. So. But she said that. Oh no! Now I forget what she was gonna say. Oh no! I know. She said, "Oh, you know what's gonna happen? A lot of people are gonna die in the 4th episode." Because everybody's
everybody-
expecting,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, I think there will be still like big casualties, and I think that they will mean more. They will hit us harder.
Yeah.
Because they will be outside of this giant battle. I think they actually did a really great job at killing the people that they did and giving attention in like
Yeah.
4 areas, 4 or 5 areas that really benefited from dying in this
Yeah.
battle. And then I think the other losses we're going to see are going to have a different kind of meaning, and I'm looking forward to that.
Well, and I gotta say, they sort of killed them in an order of importance that worked out to an average of 1 dead every 10 minutes. So I feel
Yeah.
like, and not counting Viserion, because, we got other dragons that kind of look like him. But the fact that we wiped out characters that have been in the show for a long time,
Yeah.
and some of them we've just seen in the background a bunch, like Kono. But
Yeah.
the fact that we saw his eyes go blue and he got up, and you're like, oh crap.
Did Kono get any points?
I don't know that he did.
I think Kono. You just
Kono got
saw,
no points.
Kono got no
Ko
points.
no points.
Kono.
Not this episode.
Kirsty Cole is saying next episode is going to get awkward for Jamie. Will he side with Dany to take out Cersei, or does he love her too much? Can Dany trust him in the next battle? And what's going on with everyone who hopes that Brienne and Jamie have like a love story of some kind,
Yeah,
or
they ship it.
Tormund and Brienne? Like,
No.
all these people
Okay.
survived, and these were people that I thought we saw them at the hearth. They're all gonna die, and that was the end of it. But now they get to like continue to hang out, and I wonder if there's gonna be any time to explore how any of these people feel about each other.
Somebody is making out in the trailer, and I think it's Arya, but maybe I'm just imagining
Well, I mean,
that.
she and Gendry are both still alive.
Yeah, they're
Listen,
definitely
they
gonna
need
end.
some like post-battle boning.
And even if
I
Gendry
think.
died, Podrick's around, and they're the same guy.
They are not the same. We're gonna end that rumor right now. They are not the same
I
actor.
don't know. We've heard pretty good reviews.
Hashtag
We've heard
not
good,
my Podrick.
We've heard good reviews about Podrick in bed, so
It's true.
Arya might want to
Yeah,
give that a shot.
Were you gonna say something?
The,
John?
the last thing I'm going to say is that Braun is still out there, and that's the one storyline.
Yeah,
that I'm
Braun's
like-
on his way up to kill 2
I
Lannisters.
don't think Bronn. My prediction is Bronn doesn't kill either of them. And the other thing I'll say is I think that because Arya killed the Night King, I think now that makes a path to Jaime killing Cersei. Because I know for a long time
Hmm.
people have been like, does Arya kill Cersei? Who kills Cersei?
Right.
If Cersei dies, which I think she does. But
Well, and I feel like
I don't know.
Arya abandoning her list is a level of maturity
Yeah,
as an adult and as a killer.
yeah.
That the people you wanted to kill as a child are not the people who actually need to be killed
Yeah.
in this scenario. Like the Night King was the person
Yeah.
who needed to die.
I mean, the people I wanted to kill as a child, I
Well,
don't know. If
yeah,
I
I mean,
looked back on
I've
that
already
list.
taken out all the people who were on my list when I was little, so I'm working on my modern day adult list.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. The next 3 episodes are feature length. They're long episodes. It's exciting.
Now, Aaron Thompson is looking for Tyrion and Sansa to hook it up, and Christina Winter
Hey, Christina Winter.
says definitely Arya making out in the trailer.
Sweet. I thought so.
Yeah, okay.
But Wendy Fox wants
Oh,
Arya and Pod.
yeah. No!
Oh my God.
That Arya Gendry love is, I did not know I needed it, and now I know that I
Yeah.
did.
And Aaron also says that now that Arya's killed the Night King, she's also thinking Jaime's gonna kill Cersei.
I mean, I'm hoping that it comes down to that because after everything they've been through, if Cersei continues to be the horrible person that she is, although there's so much Euron Cersei stuff in this next episode, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with
Well,
it.
he's my top
Yeah.
draft pick at this point because he was my
That
number
guy, I
2.
hate that
If
guy.
Euron kills Cersei,
Can you imagine?
I mean, yeah,
I
that would
can imagine that.
that
At
would
this
be the
point,
worst.
I think I'm prepared for any surprise.
Yeah.
Really, like
Kinda.
I don't. I feel like after this, after they left so many people alive this episode, I think Dale's right. I think there's probably going to be so many
Somebody,
casualties.
something, yeah, some kind of peripheral casualty.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor, we can only hope it doesn't come from your team because there's
Like, there's nobody
not
left.
a lot of room.
There's nobody left.
But you're at the top of the board, so you know,
Yeah, I gotta hold though.
yeah, you gotta hold.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this is the most points that have ever been given out in one episode, in since we've been doing Fantasizer. It's insane.
It's a gargantuan
Yeah.
episode for points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my characters got 225 points, so it's like, it's madness.
Yeah, your characters one of your characters got more points than I have almost
Almost.
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
whole season.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeesh.
So, so we'll be back next Monday chatting, and thank you all for your comments, your questions, for
And
tuning
Aaron
in.
is saying there is no time for Cersei redemption. So yeah,
Oh,
she's
No,
yeah,
I don't think
She's no, but I mean, like, will she stay as villainous as she is? What will heighten her villainy, and how? I'm excited. Actually, I actually quite love Cersei as a villain. I find her.
you love to hate her.
I
It's
love to
great.
hate her. I find her fascinating, and I love what Lena Headey is doing with that character. So yeah, I'm excited. I hate Euron Greyjoy with every fiber of my being, but also that actor is doing such a great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like what a great villain he is.
He's
playing.
marvelous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can keep putting comments up if you want, or predictions, and yeah, you can join us next week when we chat about
Everybody else who dies.
Whoever's left.
whoever's left. You know, hashtag for the realm.
So we'll see you next week, guys.
See you next week. Have a good night.
My glass is empty.
And now your glass is
Yeah.
Now my
empty.
glass is empty.
Oh, that was so fun, guys.
Yeah.
Yay, and thanks for joining us.
Yay!
That was such a good time.
Couch of Thrones.
Now I see how the Raptors did.
How did
Yeah.
the Raptors do?
I don't know.
Couch of
Bondo,
Raps.
Bondo called me in the middle of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he want to like chime in? Maybe he
Oh,
was
I
like,
don't know.
or he wants to talk about the Raptors.
Oh, he might want to talk about the Raptors.
Not
Oh
sure.
man, I'm gonna go turn everything off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's
Woohoo! Couch of Thrones.
not going well for the Raptors.
No. Oh no.
As it turns out.
As it turns out. Yeah, not going well. It's
Hey,
alright.
our episode was almost as long as the episode.
Oh my god.
That's what happens though. These episodes are so packed.